Hey, everybody. It is a new day. It is a new week and it's a new month. Tracy Brown here from What Is Mine to Do. And it is November 1st, 2020. And just wanted to jump in live with two or three things. A quote for the day, of course, a couple of definitions, and maybe even a question for the day. So let's jump in. Think about this. Edward T. Hall said, "For him to have understood me would have meant reorganizing his thinking, giving up his intellectual ballast, and few people are willing to risk such a radical move." Repeating, for him to have understood me would have meant reorganizing his thinking, giving up his intellectual ballast, and few people are willing to risk such a radical move. When we talk about racism and cross-cultural communication, what we have to remember is that in order to fully understand someone else, we have to reorganize our thinking to be able to translate or to be able to communicate from another perspective, a perspective that's different from our own, not better, not worse, just different. People from different identity groups have different experiences, and it is a real skill to be able to move between those cultural indicators and cultural implications. Now, in a society or a culture or city or town or an organization where the majority of people are from one specific racial identity group, racial or ethnic identity group, then it is imperative for people who are not in that group to be able to be multicultural, to be able to understand the mainstream or the expected norms. But people who are in the group that the norms have been established around often have no idea what other identity groups are experiencing. So, in the What Is Mine to Do group, where we are serious about interrupting or ending race based hatred and violence, it becomes important for us to understand that we are talking about and we are committing to really being able to move between cultural norms, not eliminate cultural differences. And that leads me to a couple of definitions that I want to share with you today. And it's the distinction between assimilation and acculturation. Now, those words sound very similar, and I think they're both pretty fun to say, assimilation, acculturation. But in the last month, I've been in several conversations where it became clear that people didn't really know what one or both of the words meant. So, assimilation really means to become like others. And like most things, there's a continuum. But in general, in the United States, when we have talked about assimilation, it has been in the context of a melting pot. All of your differences go away and you become American. You immigrate from another country or another part of the world, and you're expected to assimilate, become exactly like us, meaning whatever us represents. Um, and in past generations, there was a lot of emphasis placed on assimilating, giving up your individual culture or your original culture and assimilating into the mainstream norms and ways of being. So even though technically assimilation means you could be anywhere along the spectrum moving toward assimilation, the ideal that was set, the value that historically has been used in the US has been that you must give up who you are and assimilate into whatever matches the mainstream norm or whatever makes people who are part of the mainstream norm comfortable. How is that different from acculturation? Acculturation means I am able to move between cultures. Like I am able to accept the different cultural norms and I am able to use the appropriate behaviors in the appropriate context. So when I move between different communities, I can acculturate, but I'm not giving up who I am. I am simply adapting or accepting the cultural way of being that is effective right here and right now. You might think of the positive aspects of being a chameleon, of being able to not just fit in to make others happy, but to really participate fully. So we see a lot of acculturation in families that are interracial or multiracial because people know when they go visit their relatives from a certain race or a certain religion, they know what the norms are. And when they are with them, they use those norms, but they don't abandon their core norms or their core culture. Does that make sense? And so assimilation and acculturation are different. And it's not really so much a value judgment. However, what used to be expected, assimilation was expected. Now there is much more acceptance of acculturation. So I hope that helps you understand the two. And if you have questions about them, just, you can put them in the comments because obviously it can be confusing, but it doesn't really have to be confusing, right? So if you have additional questions about distinguishing between assimilation and acculturation, then we can comment about that in the chat and continue to talk about it. So the question for today is, when have you experienced acculturation, and when have you experienced or felt pressured to demonstrate assimilation? When have you experienced acculturation, and when have you experienced or felt pressure to demonstrate assimilation? So you can make a separate post about that and tell us your story, or you can simply comment in the comments below. And I'm going to end with this quote. It is one of my favorite quotes. And if you have been involved in the What Is Mine to Do Facebook group for any length of time, you have probably heard this quote before. It's a quotation from Fern Lebo, and she wrote, "Most people are perfectly happy being different, as long as they know their difference is not perceived as a deficiency." Repeating, most people are perfectly happy being different, as long as they know their difference is not perceived as a deficiency. What we're all about in the What Is Mine to Do group is recognizing that differences are a normal part of life, and that people from different racial ethnic groups are neither deficient nor worthy of or responsible for discrimination. So if you are a part of this group, then I understand and I expect that you are right on board with our commitment to end race-based hatred and violence. My name is Tracy Brown. I'm so glad you're part of the What Is Mine to Do group, and I can't wait to read your responses to the question, When have you experienced acculturation? And when have you experienced or been expected to demonstrate assimilation? That's it for now. See you on the What Is Mine to Do Facebook group.